Today we will talk about a Spanish movie called Apocalypto.
The start of the story, my wife Julia and I are driving home together. On the way, Julia brings up the topic of having children, something I had not yet thought about. She needed an answer to plan our future. This leads to an argument between us, and our attention drifts away from the road. Suddenly, a vehicle appears directly ahead and Julia sharply swerves to avoid it. Unfortunately, our car ends up right in the middle of the road, and at that very moment, a truck slams into us with tremendous force, sending our car flipping and flying far away. 1 year later, I am living alone with my cat. The TV is playing news about a strange virus spreading across the world, with countries considering closing their borders. The situation keeps deteriorating, and people are growing violent in their struggle to survive. I'm so deeply buried in grief that I barely pay attention to these reports and eventually mute the TV entirely. Because of this, showing a hospital patient slowly turning into a zombie. After this, I take my car and head into the city. On the way, an ambulance rushes past me. I arrive at the harbor where 2 women want to purchase my boat. One I have never used since Julia's death. While searching for the boat's papers, I discover Julia's bracelet, and in that instant my mind floods with memories of her. On my way home, my sister calls, but I ignore it. I stop at a supermarket to pick up supplies and find people buying far more than they need, leaving the shelves nearly empty. Seeing all of this, I feel genuine fear for the first time. When I get home, I tie Julia's bracelet around my cat's neck and turn on the TV, where the news confirms that the virus has now reached Spain. That evening, I video call my sister Ben. Tells me that because her husband works for the government, their family is being relocated to the Canary Islands. She asks me to come with them, but I refuse. The next morning, I notice all my neighbors are abandoning the city, so I decide to leave too, taking my cat with me. On the road, the radio reports that a new strain of the virus is spreading across Europe, one that infects a person within minutes and is transmitted through wounds or bites. And in that moment, I begin to understand that this is not just an illness. This is a full zombie apocalypse. At the airport, I message Balin that I am on my way. But just as passengers begin boarding, our tickets are suddenly canceled for no clear reason, and the crowd turns uncontrollable. People start shouting at staff members who themselves have no idea what is happening. The large screen displays that all flights have been canceled, and at that exact moment, everyone's phone receives a civil protection alert. Chaos erupts throughout the airport. Some people attempt to force their way onto the planes. Ben calls me and tells me to go home immediately, hide, and not step outside until further notice. Suddenly, a man grabs a gun from a security guard and begins threatening to shoot, sending the entire crowd flooding out of the airport. Everyone is desperately trying to get home, badly trapped in traffic, while the radio reports the same gridlock on every road and bridge. Military helicopters circle overhead. People are abandoning their cars and fighting in the streets. News reports confirm the situation is completely out of control, with riots erupting and soldiers being injured. Eventually, I grow tired of waiting and decide to continue on foot with my cat. By nightfall, I reach my neighborhood, where I find a unit of soldiers surrounding a building with a special tunnel set up outside one of the houses. Strange noises pour out from inside. I stand frozen as 2 soldiers drag a zombie out through that tunnel. Outside, the man's wife is weeping for her infected husband. I return home and collapse into an exhausted sleep. Terrifying dreams of the accident and Julia's death repeat themselves over and over. The next morning, video calls me and explains that the government is establishing safe zones to move people to secured locations. Is debate within the military. The more people are brought into the safe zones, the higher the risk of the virus spreading, a problem appearing in other countries as well. Tells me plainly that no matter what happens, I must not leave the house. Within a short time, all major cities are declared quarantined. No one is allowed in or out, making conditions on the roads even more unbearable. The virus is now completely out of control. People are witnessing zombies attacking humans in their own neighborhoods and uploading the horrifying footage to social media. Some are posting tutorials on self-defense and building makeshift armor. That same afternoon, the government declares a state of emergency. Are enforced. All activity shuts down after 200 p.m. and ordinary citizens are being drafted into the army if necessary. The next time I visit the supermarket, almost nothing left. People are tearing items from each other's hands, and the situation has spiraled completely out of control. I grab whatever I can find and hurry out. As I leave, fighter jets cut across the sky above me, deepening my fear. I stop at a gas station to gather more supplies when an injured police officer arrives, collides with me, and locks himself inside the store, securing the doors with his handcuffs. Within moments, more people gather outside, running and screaming for their lives. The situation worsens sharply when a zombie lunges onto another officer and begins tearing his face apart. I grab a mop and prepare to defend myself. Just as the zombie is about to bite me, Officer summons his last strength and shoots it. The moment the zombie drops, its blood splashes across my face, and I begin shaking uncontrollably. The first officer, locked inside the store, is now slamming hard against the glass. He too has turned. I want to help the injured officer, but he fires a shot at the floor to keep me away. I understand that staying means certain death, so I take my supplies and leave. Behind me, I hear a single gunshot, and I know the officer has killed himself to avoid turning. When I reach home, the president finally appears on TV and announces even stricter lockdown measures, stating clearly that anyone who does not cooperate with Army evacuation plans will be treated as a criminal. Using tutorials from the internet and my own tools, I reinforce my home's outer walls and install a security camera. By evening, the Army arrives to evacuate my neighborhood. But at that very moment, a message from Ben telling me to stay put, that she will come for me. I kill every light in the house and hide with my cat. Outside, soldiers bang hard on my door. Thankfully, they do not break it down and cannot see me through the windows. After a while, they leave. I remain locked inside for 2 weeks. My food slowly begins to run out. The mobile network has gone dead, cutting off all contact with my sister. After much deliberation, I gather tools for self-defense, layer myself in clothing, and finally step outside. I break into several homes in search of food but find nothing. After hours of searching, I reach a house where I find an elderly woman named Gabriella, to a wheelchair with no way out and no food left. But she tells me which homes likely have supplies. She had watched her neighbors stockpiling before the lockdown. Every house on her list and begin finding food, drinks, and other useful items, including a bicycle. The bike expands my range considerably. I collect enough food to share with Gabriella, and I give her a walkie-talkie so we can stay in contact. One house remains, the same one where soldiers had earlier extracted a zombie. Inside I find no food, only a fish tank with dead fish. Suddenly I sense someone behind me. It is a zombie. I fire. But it is just an ordinary person who, frightened by me, runs away. After they leave, I check one final cabinet and find more food. Days pass. Gabriella and I share meals together regularly. One night, drinking too much, I message her that I deeply regret not spending enough time with my family. That night, I relive the accident in my sleep, watching everything unfold again, remembering how we were airlifted to the hospital by helicopter. My sleep breaks to Gabriella's voice on the walkie-talkie, urging me to turn on the radio. A broadcast announces that survivors are being transported to the Canaries, with a meeting point for the rescue team given. Gabriella is skeptical. I remind her that our food is nearly finished. The group is at the Arusa estuary, reachable by my boat. She refuses, saying she will only slow me down. I promise to take full care of her and refuse to leave without her. The next morning, Gabriella does not respond to my calls. I rush to her house, and the ground falls away beneath me. She has taken her own life. In her note, she thanks me for the time we shared and tells me to go save myself. With a hollow heart, I begin the walk back. Without warning, a zombie attacks, my weapon from my hand. We struggle and I kick it back, trying to climb onto a car, but it seizes my leg and pulls me down. It bites my hand, but the layers of clothing stop its teeth from reaching my skin. I slam the car door repeatedly against the zombie until its head becomes lodged in broken glass. I sprint for my weapon and, lunges again, put an arrow through it. When everything goes quiet, I take its identification from its pocket and place it on its chest, so that if anyone ever finds it, they will know who it was. Back home, I boil water to clean my weapon and send another message to Ben. Still no signal. Then I load my cat into a bag, mount the bicycle, empty streets. Ahead, a barrier forces me into the forest. The moment I enter, zombies begin chasing me. They are not fast enough, but occasionally one lunges close enough to demand total focus. An abandoned camp appears ahead. I enter cautiously, dreading what may be inside. As I pass through its center, I barely escape. Just beyond the camp, a pile of zombie bodies blocks the path. Moving too fast to stop, I skid and fall. Cat's cage flies through the air, but the cat is unharmed. Behind me, the sounds of zombies close in. I grab the bike, but it will not start. With no choice, up the cat's cage and run. Somehow I reach the harbor. The moment I cross the bridge, I slam the gate shut behind me. The zombies smash through the glass and pour in. But by then, I'm already behind a second reinforced gate. I am safe. At first, hope seems lost. Not a single boat is visible at the harbor. Then, far out in the water, I spot an abandoned boat and check the engine. It will not start. A sound from below makes me open a cabin door. A zombie child is strapped to a chair. I do not linger. I leave that boat with my cat on a small wooden dinghy. I try to make contact with the rescue point from the radio broadcast. No signal. I keep recording messages for Ben regardless. The dinghy stalls, and when I check the engine, I find a body tangled in it. Just then, I spot a light nearby. I wave and shout with everything I have, Ukrainian boat, and they agree to take me aboard. On the ship, I am given food and shelter. A man named Victor is the only one who speaks Spanish. That the canneries have been fully sealed off. Survivors evacuated there were not allowed to disembark by police, which is why the infection spread so heavily on land. I help locate supplies, and in return I am given a room. At midnight, I hear something and look out to find a small boat alongside the ship. People calling for help. The next morning, I ask about them. Victor lies and swears no boat came. Later I discover that the boat is now aboard this very ship and the survivors' belongings have been taken. I confront Victor, gives no clear answer. When I learn he is a pilot, I tell him I know where a helicopter is, but he warns me to keep my head down and stop asking questions. I now know something is very wrong here. As evening falls, I quietly study the ship and realize it has collected many boats seized from survivors across different locations. I pack my things, hide my cat in a bag, and begin moving through the ship. In a lower room, I find two people bound. I free the first one, but the moment he stands, a guard shoots him, appears and wrestles with the guard, eventually strangling him. Victor now understands that staying means death, and agrees to escape with me to find the helicopter. Victor, survivor, and I slip through the ship toward a smaller boat. The moment we begin pulling away, two guards open fire and the second man is killed instantly. Fires back from the boat, but takes a bullet in the shoulder. I take the wheel and push the engine to its limit. We reach shore. I help Victor out of the boat and we search the nearby vehicles. Nearly all are locked. Then I spot one that is not. When I look inside, a zombie is seated within it. I deal with it quickly and we load in Victor, my cat, and me and drive toward the hospital where Julia died. I remember there was a helicopter there once. On the way, tells me the ship's captain is not a man but a predator. Building a personal fortress on an island, keeping only those who serve him. When we finally reach the hospital, the rooftop is empty. No helicopter. A zombie drops onto the car. I drive wildly until I get the chance to shoot it with Victor's gun. Gunshot echoes out and draws every zombie nearby. I fire relentlessly until they are all down. Then Victor, my cat, and I enter the hospital in search of something to extract the bullet from his shoulder. Strange sounds rise from the first floor. I move upstairs with care, duck out of sight at the sight of a zombie, then hear a voice coming through a vent. Before I can respond, another zombie finds me and attacks. I put an arrow through its skull, but the noise draws more. I sprint into a room, jam an iron rod through the door handles, and feel the walls close in when I realize there is no other exit. A nurse named Lucia opens an emergency door. I step through and she pulls it shut. We make our way to the room where Victor and my cat are waiting, and moments later, named Cecilia arrives with 3 children. She asks frantically what happened to Victor. I explain he was not bitten, he was shot, and Lucia immediately worked together to treat the wound and stabilize him. When I ask about the helicopter, tells me it is parked in the quarantine zone behind the hospital, a zone crawling with zombies. That night, they share their food with me, with thoughts of Julia pressing down on me. I go to the room where she died and stand there with her memory. Then I remove the bracelet from my cat's neck and lay it on Julia's bed. The next morning, I am on the roof watching the zombies below when my phone suddenly gets a signal. Every message Ben sent over the past weeks arrives at once. I am about to record a reply when gunfire erupts outside. The people from the ship are shooting their way through the zombies to reach the hospital. I run downstairs and warn everyone. We decide to move through the hospital basement to reach the helicopter. The basement is thick with bodies and smoke. We cover our faces and advance slowly. Lucia forces it open with an axe. The moment it swings wide, a zombie charges through and bites Cecilia. I tear it away immediately as Lucia kills it, understands what this means. She tells us to go on without her and stays behind. We press forward into a room where zombies are crouched behind furniture. Eases the door open silently. But a small girl cries out when she sees that her mother has become one of them. Somehow it goes unnoticed and we edge toward the exit. A zombie topples a set of shelves with a thunderous crash, and the others rise up and attack. I pull the little girl into a cabinet and hide, while the rest of the group moves through the door, hammer on the cabinet walls, and for a moment, I am certain it is over. Then the ship's crew bursts in and cuts down every zombie in minutes. They exchange words with us and leave. The final door. We step outside into a yard overrun with zombies. I recall the tutorials I watched at home and lash several cages together into makeshift shields. I begin crossing the yard behind them. At first it works, but a wheel locks and the noise brings them surging toward us. Lucia holds them back with her axe, a fire extinguisher to clear the path, and Victor drives the cage formation forward. Every step is a gamble. But after an agonizing push, we reach the gate. Lucia breaks the chain with her axe and stays with me to hold the line while Victor runs for the helicopter with the children. After a furious struggle, and I manage to close the gate and bind it tight with cloth, then race toward the others. Victor tries to start the helicopter. It refuses. Zombies begin scaling the fence. Without thinking, I step back outside to hold them off and buy time. At that moment, Victor finds a stripped wire and connects it. The engine roars to life. The ship's crew pours into the yard, guns up, zombies, then cutting the cloth binding the gate open and threatening to take the helicopter by force. Victor signals me. Without hesitation, I break the chain on the second gate. A fresh horde floods in and collides directly with the ship's crew. The chaos is total. Some zombies turn toward the helicopter. Victor lifts it just enough that they fall away. I fight through the mob with an axe, carving a path. As the helicopter lifts off, Lucia drops a ladder. I leap for it and climb with everything I have left. A few hours later, the Canaries, and Ben calls. She warns me not to come. 2 fighter jets streak past, and it is clear immediately the islands are infected too. And that is where the story ends. Enjoyed the video? Make sure to like it and do not forget to subscribe.